Welcome to the Lounge Chair, where host Melissa Parsons imparts her wisdom and knowledge to transform mindsets by teaching listeners how to choose and control their thoughts. Find motivation to take control of your thinking and make lasting changes in order to build a solid foundation of self-awareness and healthy emotional balance. Transforming mindsets one thought at a time.
Thank you so much for joining the Lounge Chair podcast. I am your host, Melissa Parsons, co-host
Shalanda Wills.
And we are so honored to be here with all of you today. We actually, guys, have a special guest joining with us today.
Yes.
Her name is Lena
Faison.
Yay!
Welcome. Yes. Royalty.
Yes. We are so grateful that you joined us today.
Oh, man,
this
thank you.
has come back into full circle.
My has it.
Oh my goodness. If everyone just knew the story behind all of this and how God has just connected all of us together.
Yes. Divine connection.
Oh,
yes,
wow.
it is.
Divine
and right now we're on a divine appointment, right?
Yes.
God is using us for that. And I am so glad that you're here today. We know now that you are an author.
Oh,
Yeah.
it happened. It's a
Yes.
thing. It is an absolute privilege and honor to be here. Like, I am so honored to even be able to just be a part of what God is doing in your life. Oh my God, this is amazing. It's amazing. So,
Thank you.
yeah, thanks for having me.
We actually owe it all to you.
All to the Lord.
Yes.
I got to just participate. I got to participate, but absolutely.
Absolutely. We do give God all the glory.
Yeah.
But He used you as an open vessel.
Yeah.
For not just me, but for her as well.
Saving lives.
know,
You truly save lives. Like,
Y'all gonna have me all emotional today. That's so good. That's so good.
You have just the embodiment of who God is and the anointing on your life and how you can really listen and be obedient. Your obedience is amazing.
It's the word of the day. It's the word of the day.
It is.
Yeah.
You taught me. And I'm seeing it, and to actually walk through and learn and see with how you're helping me and see God in all of that. It's like, God pointed you to us in our individual seasons that we needed you.
Yes.
So thank you for your
gosh,
obedience
so
and your
welcome.
heart
Thank
being
you.
so open and being a willing vessel. I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh. Thank you guys so much. Oh my gosh. I feel so awesome right now. Just because.
You are awesome.
Yeah.
Because,
You are awesome.
I mean, you're not just an author, you're also a coach.
Yep.
And at that time in my season in my life, I needed a coach. And I was saying, God, I need to do something, but I'm stuck. And I said, I have to do something, but I feel like you're calling me away from being a group leader.
Mm-hmm.
But I know if you're calling me away from that, then I know you're calling me for greater and higher things, right? For Him and for His glory,
Absolutely.
right? So I got to the point in my life where I wasn't writing.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone already knows the story about me and Shalanda both. We don't like to talk. So it's like God had just ordained all of this moment, this special moment today. We are so honored to have you here.
Thank you.
With us. I'm serious. I mean, in our seasons in our life, we were really going through.
Yes, absolutely.
And to have you say to me to write a letter to myself, and I look back at it just the other day, and I was like, all of this stuff, I told you when I saw you at church on Sunday, I was like, all of this is like unfolding right in front of me.
Yeah.
And it was like, God, this is like being birthed right now in the atmosphere. And it's crazy because it's like, we all know we have faith in God.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like He's blessing us even more than we can even think or imagine. Right now, it's like we ask God for something And he's given us even more than what we're even asking. Right now, we're in that season.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we want to just get into it right now and ask you about your book. What was the inspiration behind writing the book and coming up with that title?
Oh, man. So
give us the name of your book.
So the name of the book is called What Am I Supposed to Do Now? And it's an 8-step guide to using your military mindset to become a successful civilian. What led to it is over 20 years of being in the military. And I did not know that 1998 was the beginning of this story that led me to now in writing this book. But really what kicked it off, or the catalyst, was my retirement from the Navy in 2018. So yeah, so many things led up into this moment and writing this book. And even the title came from the question that I asked God as soon as I retired. What am I supposed to do now? Like, how in the world am I going to go from being in the Navy my entire adult life? I'd never done anything else. So I'm like, what am I supposed to do now? How am I supposed to move in the world now? And, oh, by the way, I wasn't planning on retiring. It was all an act of obedience, really. So now I'm like, okay, I obeyed you. Now what? Right. What am I supposed to do now? So that's where the title came from. Man, he has shown up. He has shown up and showed out and showed me what I'm supposed to do now. And he's showing me not so far in advance. It's, okay, God, good morning. What am I supposed to do now? And tomorrow, okay, God, what am I supposed to do now?
I love it.
So, yeah, that's where it came from.
Awesome. That is. So what part of the book did you have the hardest time writing?
So the hardest part, just like anything else, is just getting started, the beginning. Really, it's an 8-step guide. So the first part, it was coming up with the right order of these steps. So the first step is called pick a path. And at first I'm like, that's the end result. What do you mean? Like, I don't want to pick a path. Like, I don't think that sounds right. And it was hard for me to kind of get past that order of the steps and that being first, because I just felt like that was super daunting. I learned really that you have to take the first step.
Yes.
You have to take the first step. So you have to pick something and see where it leads. There's no way to do it any other way. You have to make a decision first.
Absolutely.
That's good. Yeah. That reminds me to something that you will always say, you know, we have in talking to me, we have choices, but the ultimate choice is to make a decision.
Yeah.
So, and that leads into, like, when you make a decision, you are picking or planning, you know, what your decision is. So that's really, really good.
Yeah. I love it. My mentor told me, he said, there's an answer to being stuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
The best answer to being stuck is to make a decision.
Right. That's right.
So I'm like, really? We're going to make it just that simple, huh? Okay, well, I mean, he didn't say it was going to be easy.
Right.
But it's simple.
Right.
Make a decision. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what I had to do. I had to make a decision. I felt when I was stuck, it was just like, I feel like I'm hearing you, God, and I'm writing, but I feel like part of me is going one way and part of me just feels so comfortable of where I am right now, and that comfort zone and that spot, you know, the one that get you trouble and get you stuck, right? And then you feel like it's almost like you're drowning in quicksand, you know, and you're trying to come up, but it's like a battle. It's like a struggle, trying to get out of the quicksand, knowing that you want to get out, but you feel like there's no way out. You know, it's like it's like even if you do find a path out, it's like you're starting all over from the beginning again. You know, and it's just like so many people are looking and are hungry for how to get there, instead of saying, okay, I have to go to school for about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. And that's the path that I want to go, but I don't want to wait 3 or 4 years to get that degree or to get that job. You know, so it's some of us are just out there that are hungry for a piece of the pie. Can I say that? Can I say that? Okay, a piece of the pie or
all the way. You brought up such a great point about just people being hungry for, like, what am I supposed to do next? How do I get into this thing right here? And I realized during this process for me, the picking a path and all of that, like, you got to pick a path, but there's a plan. Like there's some steps that we have to do.
Yes.
And I realized that even hoping and wishing that all of it would just happen in a moment's notice, like it's not possible. But the subtitle of the book is Using What You Got. All of us are over 18 years old.
Right.
But I mean, even when we think about all of our experiences, sometimes we're looking for the new thing. I'm looking for the new 3-year class and this certification and that thing and that thing. And God is like, hey, guess what? I need you to use the mindset that has been transformed over the last few years to get you where you need to go. I need you to use the tools that I've given you over the last however many years to get you to be successful in the next thing that I have for you. And sometimes we're looking for that new thing, but he's like, yes, what I need you to do is review and not look for the new. Review all of the things. Go back and look at the things that I've already equipped you with.
Yeah.
Because it really has been intentional and on purpose. Like, I've equipped you with this, but you didn't know it. You didn't know that this particular assignment was giving you a little bit more patience for this thing right here. You didn't realize that talking and being the group leader was leading you to be able to lead more people. And not just small groups, but big groups. The things that we don't necessarily recognize, I think that's another thing that, I try to capture in this book of use what you have. We so sometimes we just magically forget how much God has equipped us with already. Yeah.
That's good. That is so good.
So what perspectives or beliefs have you been challenged with this book?
Everything. Oh my goodness. My perspective and the way that I've seen things over the last 3 years have changed. Obviously, I'm hoping that they've developed into better. It seems like they have, but being in the military, when you first join, you go to boot camp, right? And you go through this boot camp process. And anybody that has been through boot camp, they go back home after they get done with their boot camp. And everybody's like, oh, you're so grown now. Oh, everything's so different. Oh man, you're so mature. And we don't realize that in that 8-week period, like, you're stripped of your first name, right? I went from Lena to Seaman Recruit Battle, right? And in that time, my identity, the things that I learned, the things that I acquired while I was there was a foundation. Everybody is put on the same level and we're all level set, and you get this particular set of foundation. And when you leave, you have a different perspective of the world. Each place that you go after that kind of shapes your perspective. Each one of your experiences shape your perspective. So over 20 years of that, you get a whole lot of different views and perspectives. But on the way out the door, when you get ready to retire, you get ready to separate, you have this particular mindset. And now I got to step outside of that. And I don't get the boot camp on the back end. I don't get hey, this is what it looks like to be a civilian now. This is what it looks like to do this new job now, or to have this new position now, or to become a mom now. Any transition, really. It just specifically speaking about the military, but any transition. And I realized that my perspective changed when my position changed, when my role changed. Like, I had to see this. I had to get the right view, and we'll talk about that later. But I had to get the right view, or God's view, of where I am right now. Because there's no way for me to really understand, like, where I'm going. My perspective changed because I got to see that, oh man, all of this has contributed or kind of shaped who I am. But it's another foundation. It's just another level. And now I'm equipped with this skill or that skill and this tool and this experience that's kind of giving me some wisdom in different areas that I wouldn't have got any other way. So my perspective is it's more informed, I think, is the best way to say that it's changed. Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So what was your favorite part in writing this book?
Good question.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, nothing was good. None of it was favorite. It was all hard because I kept saying, I'm not a writer. Like, I'm not a writer. I'm an IT, right? I'm doing IT stuff. I'm not a coach. What in the world? I'm not. It was so difficult for me to change my mind about my identity. And I had to really get past that to start enjoying writing the book. I had to say, you're a writer. And I had to believe it. Like, it was so hard for me to believe it for a long time because I've been in IT. I've been a chief in the Navy. I've been this thing and that thing, but I'd never seen myself as a writer.
Yeah, and I think that's my issue, and I believe you and I had discussed it before when I was you were my coach with the right view. You are my coach. You're still my coach. Let me correct it. You're still my coach. But that was my issue and my problem when it was time for me to stop. When I felt like it was time for me to stop writing, put it that way. I didn't believe that I was a writer. I think that was my whole issue when I was blogging. I was doing it and I could not believe that I was doing it, but I was grateful that God was downloading these messages.
Yeah.
And I was doing it. I was like, okay. But the whole time, I never believed that I was a writer.
Yeah.
And so when I stopped writing, I felt like, okay, I feel like it became a burden. I don't know how I can explain that. I felt like maybe because God was using me at that time to write, everything was flowing out of me, right? I'm a person that's used to keeping things inside, right? So I hold things in, and then being a procrastinator on top of that was like really like pulling me here, pulling me there. And it just got to the point where it's just like, okay, I'll just stop.
Yeah. I think that's the difference too. And I think sometimes we can do something and I can write 3 or 4 books, and saying that I'm an author doesn't make me a writer. Writing makes me a writer.
Right. Oh,
so I think that part of what I enjoyed the most was going back and remembering the stories, remembering and really pulling from my experience, pulling from all the tools and tactics and all that kind of stuff that I'd learned while I was in the military. That became my favorite part. My favorite part became remembering my first duty station and all of the people that were there and all the things that I learned from it, and the stories that I wrote about that were kind of hard, I think, to go back and look at the memories and be like, oh my gosh, this season is over. And instead of being sad about it, appreciating everything that I got from it. I think that was probably what I enjoyed the most. Yeah, from my whole experience in writing the book is, going back and saying, oh, this was so great. I learned this and I learned that. And just remembering the people. And I think the best part of any position or anything, any role I've ever done has always been the people.
Right.
So just going back and being able to remember them and capture the stories. So yeah, I think that was my favorite part. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what message would you like to convey to your readers?
Ooh-wee. Okay, so specifically for the book, I mean, I think for the most part, like the last step is pursue a pillar.
Wow, it's deep.
Yeah, so I realized that how important it is to do life with other people. How like
we say it every
yes,
episode,
there's an entire there's a small chapter that's called "You Can Do It," and it's towards the beginning, and I realized like yes, that is so true. But until I got through the last few steps, I realized you can do it. You can do it. You just can't do it alone.
That's good.
And you can do it for a little while by yourself. You can do some things. You can go through, and I can't stand the term self-made man, self-made, because nobody made themselves. But one thing that I think I want to convey like the most is that like you can do it. Whatever it is you're trying to do, whatever you're transitioning from, however you're trying to get there, like you can do it. You just can't do it alone. I'm realizing that like I had all kinds of issues like initially with the idea of being a coach. And I didn't like the term. I thought it was so overused, and oh gosh, everybody's a life coach. And I just want to be in IT and make all the money. That's what I do already. And I'm like, God, I don't feel like that's what I'm supposed to do when I have the, IT skills that I have in the area that I live in. This doesn't really make sense, God. And I realized like, risk, I've heard it said that risk is faith is spelled risk. Yeah. And I'm like, yes, this is true. But for me, risk was spelled obedience. It was, okay, this is what I'm asking you to do. And I'm just asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to write this book and trust that I created you, so I know what you are. So stop saying I'm not a writer. Stop saying I'm not a coach. And for me, that risk and all of that was just one step of obedience after the next.
Amen.
So that's the main thing for me. It was just, hey, let's be obedient. And I want people to know like that is the first step.
Yes.
Pick a path.
Right.
Like, because you're obeying what God is saying to do. And then like you can do it. Whatever it is. You just can't do it alone.
Amen. Obedience is better than sacrifice.
Man.
Right?
And he's always right. He is always right. As much as we kick and scream and procrastinate and do all the things, he's always right. Even as I'm looking at you too, I'm like, gosh, you are one. He's so good and so intentional about every little thing.
Yes.
But also like, I'm watching how right he is. I'm watching. If I would have not believed him and not been obedient, said, yes, okay, I'm going to be a coach. I'm going to start this company that's not an IT based company.
Yeah.
Then this, like, I wouldn't be sitting on the other side of you guys. And I don't even know if you would be sitting on the other side of there.
I probably would not be doing a podcast right now. Probably went right back to blogging. I bet. Only because, again, not wanting to talk and don't have to be, on the front line. I can still stay in my little comfort zone behind the scenes.
Comfort behind the computer. Okay.
Right,
yes.
Right. Yeah, I'll still be hiding, probably on the floor somewhere. So I definitely would not be here. I definitely wouldn't be more confident, I believe so. Just have that air of that doing it, don't do it alone. Mm-hmm. You are a true testament of that. Not doing it alone. And so I just have one question. Like, I know God is amazing, but who coaches the coach?
Oh my goodness. Man.
All this inspiration and wisdom, and like I know God is your forefront.
Absolutely. I absolutely had an amazing coach. So before I started coaching, before I even was like, okay, I had to get over not wanting to be like called a coach. Uh-huh. And a few years prior to coaching, I felt like one of my pastors, Pastor Victor, that he was supposed to be my coach. And we had a conversation one day and I was like, he is not supposed to be my coach. I am not ready. Straight shooter. And a couple of years later, it came to be. And I asked him to coach me. And I didn't even know if he was going to say yes, but I was, again, being obedient. And when I tell you, I realized with the time that I spent each week with him, that there was not any amount of money that I could have paid to get what I got. And how even today, I'm experiencing things and realizing and learning and growing because of the seeds that he planted, that the things that he watered, the ground that he tilled in just the few weeks that we spent. And I'm like, God, I want to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. Like, I was so against this title of coaching, but I'm like, Lord, I know that this is what you want me to do. But until I saw what that looked like, until I started to see the effects of what it looks like to have somebody that I was waiting like every week, like, okay, what's going to happen when this is over with? Because I know I'm doing the things that I know that I should do because I have to tell somebody.
Right.
Because I have to say at the end of the week or whatever day, okay, so everything we talked about, I actually listened. This is what came from it. And then the last week, I was like, oh gosh, I don't want this to end. Because how am I going to motivate myself now that nobody's holding me accountable?
Yeah.
And he said something to me that says, yes, I'll coach you. But like, when this is done, you will not need me. And I'm like, hold up. Now I will be definitely going back. Because different seasons require different things.
Right.
And I'm learning that. I told you, like, in this whole like gardening situation that I got going on right now, what I'm learning is specifically that there's seasons and that I will go back. And I'm going to spend some time when it's fertilizing season. I'm going to spend some time when it's time to like retill and replant. I don't think that you ever, like, you may change coaches, you may do whatever, but I think there's never a time where there's not somebody that I'm accountable to. Yeah. There's not ever going to be a time where someone's not pouring into me. Yes, And the goal is that you also, when you live in your purpose, that you're also pouring into other people.
Absolutely.
However that looks. It doesn't have to look like coaching. It doesn't have to look, it can look like podcasts, right? It looks like writing books and blogs. It looks like having one-on-ones and conversations with people. It looks like discipleship 101. It looks like the time you spend with your kids. Yeah. It looks like all of these different things, but as long as we're walking in our purpose, man, and we're pouring and we're receiving. So yeah.
Yes. Amen.
So
absolutely. Yeah. Cool.
So awesome. Yeah. So when is this book releasing and where can we find it?
Oh man. So it's currently on Kindle. The actual book release is going to be the second week in June. So stay tuned. Look out my social media on therightView.org. Yeah, it'll be out the second week of June. Hard copy, and there'll be lots of announcements and things that are coming out for when it's actually out there, which is crazy, but I'm super, super excited about it.
Awesome.
We are too.
Yeah, so excited. So I know this is not the end. So what's next? We have the book. What's next for Miss Lena Faison?
Wow. Yeah, right now I am working on another writing project.
Yes.
I'm actually writing a devotional right now.
Yes.
So that's going to be coming out soon. I don't know how soon, but it'll be coming out. It's a devotional called The Garden Chronicles. It's really based on all of the things that I learned in my garden in 2020 when everybody was stuck at home and quarantining. I started gardening, and I had already gardened a little bit before, but I was super intentional about it that particular year. And man, I learned so much. I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about life. I learned so many things from gardening. It was so crazy. I just felt like the Gospels where Jesus used all these parables about gardening and seeds. And I'm like, this is a modern day gospel. Like it was crazy. But as I started to just kind of write down the things that I learned and I would realize and get like these revelations about, oh man, when you plant this next to this, oh man. And the Lord just really began to show me him.
Wow.
While I was gardening. And I just feel like, one, it's super fun to write about because I'm super passionate about gardening. But I think it's a way for people to truly understand in a simple way how God works and how like principles and life works through gardening. But I learned so much, and it's anybody that knows me knows that as soon as I learn anything, I'm like, I want to tell you because I don't want you to have to take as long to learn this thing as I did, or just my excitement about it is just because I'm fascinated and I'm like, oh my goodness, I can see God here. I can learn this lesson here, and it doesn't have to come from a book or a class or whatever, but using the experience. Using life itself to teach other people or to teach yourself, or God allowing my life to be a lesson too. It's been awesome. So that's my next project, and I'm going to continue coaching in the fall and some new stuff coming out. So I'm super excited.
Awesome.
I can't wait. Is there anything else you want to say to all of our listeners out there?
Oh man.
What would be the one thing that you would leave our listeners?
I would leave them with faith is spelled risk, and risk is spelled obedience. Like at the end of the day, we really do
love it.
Want to live a led life. We want to be led in what we do so that we can walk in the purpose that we were created for, so that we can fulfill like the assignment on our lives. It's such an amazing place to be. And I think if we recognize that, yes, we have to have faith. And that's going to take us risking.
Wow.
But man, God is always the best bet. Always bet on God. Like if there's it feels like risk, but man, it's not a risk when you know you won. Right. It's not really a risk. It feels like risk every time.
Love it.
But I'm like, we're not betting. It's not by chance. Like we're not. We always win. Yeah. We always win, and He's always right. So yeah, just faith equals risk, and risk equals obedience.
That's good.
Yeah,
that is so good. That is so awesome. Do you have any more questions for Miss Lena? If not, we can wrap it up.
All right now.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us. Give us the name of your book again and tell us where we can actually purchase the book.
Yes, it is called What Am I Supposed to Do Now? An 8-Step Guide to Using Your Military Mindset to Become a Successful Civilian. And you can find it on Amazon, and it will be on hard copy, available the second week in June.
Awesome. Now, this book is not just for ex-military, correct? It's
not at all.
Everybody.
Not at all. So if you are in transition in your life, if you're changing careers, everybody's in transition. Yes. But I think, honestly, that it's written to the military, but it's written for everyone. Yeah.
Amen. I'm excited. Cool. I already got mine on Kindle. So we can't wait until the book comes out. Again, we are so honored that you've actually taken the time out to join us. We truly, honestly love you.
Yes. Love you guys so much. I love you guys too.
I mean, honestly, it's just amazing how all of us got connected. and this was not even planned. It was God's plan.
Yeah.
But we had no idea.
Because He knows the plan.
And He knows that. See? Exactly. Yeah. We are a true testimony.
Yes. Yes.
This is a true testament to it. Am I right?
Oh, all the way. All the way.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you again so much for joining us. Again, thank you for joining the Lounge Chair Podcast. I am your host, Melissa Parsons, co-host
Shalanda Wills.
All right, and we'll see you guys next week. Join us every Monday, 8 o'clock on Google Play, iTunes, and WordPress. And there's another place.
Spotify?
Spotify, there you go.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of The Lounge Chair. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. That helps others find the show, so they too can build a solid foundation of self-awareness and healthy emotional balance. We really appreciate it, and we'll catch you in the next episode.